older I get, the less I want to be friends. And let's be honest, I'm pushing 40, and friendship just means something different to me now. Hi, I'm Dr. Dee Wednesday, therapist, mommy, and muse. And let's talk about friendship. I got somewhere to go, so I'm gonna do my makeup and we're gonna chat. Now, when I was younger, especially in my 20s, I had a lot of friends, especially as an extrovert. Yes, I'm an extrovert. And I always had a lot of friends, or should I say, I was a friend to a lot of people. Because at the end of the day, the truth is, especially as I look backwards, those people were actually not really my friends. I was a friend to them. I would be there for them. I would show up for them, but they rarely ever showed up for me in the same way. And long before I was a therapist, I was holding secrets for people that I loved and people that I really wanted to be there for. But the truth is, most of those people would not have held on to my secrets. And I'm gonna be honest, most of them didn't, especially because some of those secrets came back to me, which means you was running your mouth, right? But it took me some time to really realize what friendship actually means to me, what I want in a friend, and what I value in friendship. And now that I'm pushing 40, I've really come to a place and a point where I don't need a lot of friends. And I don't want a lot of friends. Because the truth is, everybody ain't friendly. And just because you've known someone for a long time, that doesn't mean that she's your friend. You know, like I know, some of the people that you have known the longest can do you the dirtiest. So let's talk about friendship. What actually is a healthy friendship? For me, friendship is more about trust. It's about loyalty. And if I'm honest, it's about similarity. You know, my mama used to say, birds of a feather flock together. I ain't got no bracelet on. Let me find me a bracelet. Had to get me a little bracelet. I almost fell down trying to get it, but we got it. Anyway, so growing up, my mama used to say, birds of a feather flock together. And I used to be like, no, that ain't true. Especially in high school, baby. In high school, one of my best friends, let's just say we were not necessarily birds of a feather, because that was a dodo bird. That was a whole bird. And she was a pure bird. Now, the way misogyny works, and I understand now, maybe that was a little problematic on both of our ends. But the truth is, it was what it was. And it was the time that it was. But anyway, now that I'm older, I understand what it was that my mother was talking about, because the truth is, birds of a feather flock together. And I don't want to be friends with someone whose views and beliefs are so different than mine that we can't relate. Because at the end of the day, what are we talking about? What are we doing? And we're going to find ourselves arguing and debating about things that are actually serious. And I'm going to be honest, I'm a little argumentative, okay? And so if I don't agree, I'm going to vocalize that, which is fine, because you're never going to agree fully with anybody, not your spouse and certainly not your friends. And that's okay, right? We don't have to agree on all things. We don't have to agree on small things, but there are some things that we do need to see eye to eye on if we're going to be friends. So what are some of those things? Faith, religion, and not necessarily that we have to have the same faith or the same religion, but what we do need to agree on is that even if our faith is different, that we have mutual respect for one another and a mutual respect for what it is that we each believe, right? Now, why y'all let me put on lip gloss before I started doing my makeup? Now I got to figure out how to get around my lips without messing up my lip gloss. Did I get it? I got it. Anyway, also, my skin is a different color now. The hydroquinone and the tretinoin, I'm one complexion, more so one complexion now, but it's not the same complexion that I used to be, as you can tell. But at the end of the day, I got a lot of makeup and I'm gonna use it until it's gone. Do I look crazy? Maybe. Am I gonna throw away my makeup? Absolutely not. But yeah, mutual respect is something that I'm never going to budge on as it relates to any relationship, not romantic partnership, and certainly not friendship. And that's another thing, romantic partnership. I cannot be friends with someone who values their romantic partnership in such a way that nothing else matters. I am not that kind of girl. While I love my spouse, and I do, my romantic partnerships don't matter so much more than my friendships that I'm willing to neglect those friendships. I'm not willing to neglect any of my relationships for another one, especially a healthy relationship. And I'm someone that genuinely believes, and you might disagree, and this is something that a lot of people disagree with me on, especially down here in the South, baby, because they love their husbands. They love them husbands, and them husbands love them sometimes. Anyway, I digress. But they love them husbands. And I'm someone that believes that my friendships, they matter, right? And they matter to me just as much as my romantic partnership. And I put in a great deal of effort in my friendships. I show up for my friends, I'm there for my friends, and my friends have been there for me, right? And a lot of times you will meet someone that's your romantic partner years after you had this friendship, and now all of a sudden, now the friendship doesn't matter anymore. Now all of a sudden, you got a man or a woman, and your friends don't matter anymore. Now you can't return phone calls, you can't return text messages, you're not available anymore, right? And I don't like that. I don't play them kind of games. Not with my friends, not with anybody. Because at the end of the day, my relationship to you is just as valuable as anybody else's relationship to you. Because your relationship to me is just as valuable as anyone else's relationship to me. I know I'm getting some flack on that, but I don't care. That's what I believe. I am an individual person. And yes, I love my spouse. I love my wife. I do. But I love myself. And my friends have been there for me. My friends will continue to be there for me. And I them also. And those relationships matter. Now, while the relationship and the love looks different between my wife and my friends, I don't love one more than the other. But a lot of times women will get in romantic partnerships and they act like they ain't got no friends no more because that's all they really wanted. They really wanted a romantic partner. They never really cared about having a friendship or having a friend. And that's the problem, right? A lot of y'all don't have no friends because you don't want any friends. You want a man. You want romance, right? And a lot of people will use their friendships to fill in for romantic partnerships when they don't have somebody. But as soon as they get somebody, off with that friendship no longer matters anymore, right? And I think that that is something that is very common, especially amongst male-centered women. Pet peeve. Another thing. Male-centered women and I cannot be friends. That's one of those core beliefs that there's no agreeing to disagree as it relates to male-centeredness. Because your male-centeredness can put my life in jeopardy, and I'm not willing to risk that. Another thing that's really caused me to really step back and look at, reevaluate, and even cut off friendships in my life, especially around this age, is reciprocity. I am someone who, as you've heard, really values my friendships. I'm about to put on some eyeshadow. Really values friendship, right? And I show up for my friends. I'm there for them no matter the time, the place. If I have the capacity to be there for you, guess what? I'm going to be there for you. I'm going to show up. I'm going to show up and I'm going to show out for you because you're my friend. But very often, I started to realize I was showing up for people who were not showing up for me. I was there for people who were not there for me, unless we were trauma bonding over something. But when I needed them, they were not there. But the expectation was that when they needed me, that I would be there. And I was. I was there. I was always there. And for a lot of those relationships, those people were not there for me. I would call, no answer, text, no response. But when I chose to end the relationship, and I'm a little confrontational and I'm direct, right? And by confrontational, I don't mean like put them up, put them up, put them up. I mean, right? That's not my ministry today. I'm almost 40. We're grown. We got to talk things out. But the truth is, I am confrontational and I am direct. If I decide that we are not friends anymore, I'm going to tell you, I don't want to be a friend anymore. We're breaking up, right? Maybe not like that, but I'm definitely going to tell you. I'm not a ghoster. I think that ghosting is a bit cowardly, and that's not the way I move and operate. But then when you have these conversations with people, you know, you're the bad guy. You are the one that's, you're it's not that deep, it's not that serious. Well, we'll see how deep it is and how serious it is when you need me and I'm not there, especially because I have communicated that we are not friends anymore. Because I have shown up multiple times and the reciprocity doesn't exist. And that is so hard, especially when you get to a place in your life when you realize that the people that you love and value don't love and value you in return. And that is a really hard pill to swallow. That's a big pill. That's one of them big old pills to swallow. And it hurts. I'm gonna be honest, it hurts. But what hurts more than that is continuing to show up for people who don't think enough of you to show up for you. And you can't keep doing that. I couldn't keep doing that, right? So I had to have the friendship breakups. And it was hard. Okay. I decided I'm putting glitter on my eye. Do we want glitter? We got glitter now. Hell, still like. Anyway, have you ever had to break up with a friend and like have a friendship breakup with somebody that you really loved? Is that just me? Am I the only one who has gotten to a place in life where I have to, now hold on, let me look in the mirror, where I have to end relationships with people and not romantic partnerships, like actual friendships, because I'm not able to get what I need? Is that just a me thing? I don't think that's a me thing. I think that that's something other people go through, but it's definitely not something that we talk about outside of the internet, right? On the internet, people talk about friendship breakups, but you never really hear people in your real life talk about having to cut people off because they weren't good friends. And I'm not gonna lie, it's really hard to do because you love people, right? You love them, and if they're your friends, you probably have other friends in common, and you have to decide that this relationship doesn't serve you anymore. A friendship breakup, that's that hurt. That's a pain I wouldn't wish on anybody because you just have different expectations for your friends, right? Should you? Probably not. But do you? Yes. I know I do. Especially women, right? Because there's girl code. There's an understanding. There is a sisterhood. And you expect different from your sisters. And when your sisters show up for you, when the reciprocity is not there, when the love that you pour into them isn't poured back, baby, that's a heartbreak I don't never want to experience again. And so I have to be strict. I run a strict program. Baby, this face is shiny. Hold on. All right. Okay. Let's see what we can do about this face because this face is shinier than I prefer. Let's see. What can we do? I bought these little pads from Sephora. You're supposed to be able to put them over your makeup because I'm very shiny. Now, mind you, I am going to be putting on powder, but right now we're on camera. And now Sephora. No, wait. No, hold on. Hang up on you. Put that right back on where it was. Where my brush went. Let's fix that right now. I got some still on my finger. Nickelodeon. Okay. So, anyway, we're just going to be a little shiny for right now until we can get to the powder. Y'all going to have to trust the process with me. It's not going to be the shiny the whole time. But anyway, that's a heartbreak I wouldn't wish on anybody. And I certainly don't wish it on you. But the only way to avoid it is to have enough love for yourself to expect other people to love you in the ways that you desire to be loved. And very often, we don't assign that type of responsibility to friends. We let people run all over us, right? I heard somebody say on the internet, oh, you let that man play with you, but you don't tolerate that from your friends. Who is you? Who is you? Because I wish a romantic partner, especially a man, yeah, would play in my face and I would keep them around. Absolutely not. The truth is, a lot of women will take more from their friends than they would ever take from a man. Men get cut off. The kind of girls I know and hang around, men get cut off. There are things that you would never, ever, 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 ever tolerate from a man that you would let your friends get away with. Somebody that you're talking to cannot text you back, cut off, ghosted, strict program. But let your friend be laid up with her little boo and she ain't responding to you. All you do is chuck it up to that's how you know that's how Megan act. You know that's how she act, and then you move right along. And when she come back, it's no issue. It's no problem. But you wouldn't tolerate that from a man. Why do you tolerate it from your friends? I run a strict program when it comes to romantic partnership, but baby, them friends, they was acting all kind of ways, and so I had to turn them loose for me. And that's the thing, right? As we get older, we start to see ourselves differently, right? Our identities shift, and we start to tolerate less from people, but that really comes from really loving yourself more, right? When you love yourself more, you will tolerate less BS from people. Now, that's the truth. In my 20s, I tolerated a lot. I tolerated a lot from men. I tolerated a lot from friends. I tolerated a lot from family. I don't tolerate hardly nothing from them no more either. When I quit coming around me. But anyway, that's a conversation for a different video. But when you're younger, you tolerate more because most of us, we don't really know ourselves like that, right? And we don't love ourselves the way we do as we get older. Because when you really start to love yourself and value yourself, you're not going to let other people devalue you. You're not going to let other people not show up for you. Because I show up for me and I show up for you. And if you can't show up for me, then this is not a relationship. This is a business. And you are not paying me, boo. Now, if you want me to run you an invoice, I can be a lot of things. I can be a coach. I can be a consultant. Baby, I can be your therapist. But what I can't be is your friend. Not for free. Baby, this concealer. Look at that. I put just a little bit on. And I like how that came out. That came out really nice. But anyway, so like I said, as we get older and really start to love ourselves and really value ourselves, that changes the game. That changes the game for all relationships, especially for me. You know, as I started to grow and really come into my own, there was no way I was going to let people mistreat me. Not friend, not foe, not man, not woman, nobody. Even when it comes to people you've been friends with your whole life. Now, I am fortunate enough to be from a smaller town, right? And I know people that I have known my entire life. And that can sometimes be a little bit confusing. Just because you have known somebody your entire life doesn't mean they're your friend. And you have to get to a place, baby, where you stop confusing history with intimacy because those two things are not the same. We can have history, but we don't have any friendship intimacy. You're not there for me. I'm not there for you. I hardly know anything about you. You hardly know anything about me. That does not a friendship make. That is an acquaintance. That is an associate. That is someone you love. And I hate to say it, but that is not a friend. I had to back up a little. I was very, very close to y'all. But that is not a friend. And another thing I want to talk about, just because somebody used to be there for you doesn't mean that they're still there for you. You can have people in your life who used to be there for you, who did once upon a time show up for you, but they don't do that anymore, you know? And not because they have something going on in their life or because they're experiencing something, because that's very different, right? You don't turn your back on your friends because they're going through something. But sometimes people who used to be friends and who used to be really good friends are no longer good friends. And we have to not only acknowledge that, but pay attention to it. Because if not, we will find ourselves continuing to hold on to relationships because of their potential rather than their consistency. It's not enough to show up for somebody once or twice 50 years ago, right? If you are not consistently there for someone, and that doesn't mean, you're always going through trials and tribulations and people always have to be there for you. But y'all know what I mean when I say there for you. And now all of a sudden, for the last 2 years, you ain't been there. I haven't heard from you. You're not responding to text messages because you busy and you laid up with somebody new, right? What have you done for me lately? Have you shown up for me lately? And quite often, the answer is no. I'm just cleaning up this eyeshadow right here. I don't like for it to be all over my eye like that. And so I just kind of make me a little straight line. Bam. Right? Like that. And then I'm going to blend it in. Right? Clean. Just a clean little line. Okay. And then I'm going to just take my concealer brush. Where did it go? Did you take my brush? Give it back. Oh, here it go. Okay. And then I'm just going to tap, 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 tap. Easy breezy, beautiful cover girl. I need to kind of blend this out. I'm not a beauty blender girl. I'm a brush girl. So I'll take the rest of this foundation, and where I put concealer, I'm just going to kind of blend it into my foundation, just like that. See? Get around that nose. Ain't nothing worse than when you do your makeup or you see somebody out and about and they turn their head and you can see the concealer right here on their nose, and not in like a contouring way, just in a, sis, you need to blend that out kind of way, right? And if you're a lady's lady, a girl's girl, you will tell her. But some of y'all won't tell, so I have to make sure I'm in the mirror blending out myself, right? I like that. That's cute. Okay, back to the topic at hand. Healthy friendship. What is healthy friendship? For me, I'm gonna be honest. I need some blush. What color should we do? I think the girls online have been doing like an orangey blush situation, and I'm a pink girl myself, but I do have a little orangey, little peachy situation. Should we try it? I said let's try it. If we don't like it, we'll put a little pink on top of it. So back to what I was saying. A healthy relationship, a healthy friendship, it has mutual effort. If you're in a healthy friendship, you are not the only one trying. You are not the only one maintaining the relationship. A little dollop on the nose. Just a little dollop on the nose. You're not the only one making the effort to maintain or sustain the relationship. If you find that you are the only one calling, you're the only one texting, you're the only one reaching out, you don't have a friend. What you have is somebody who is using you, someone who is around when it's beneficial to them. What you have is nothing. That's not a relationship, and it's certainly not a friendship. Another thing that's really important as it relates to friends is emotional safety, right? I can be there and talk to you and be safe without feeling like I'm gonna be judged all the time, right? I should be able to come to you and be like, this is how I'm feeling about something, and it's a safe place for me to do that. Get that nose, Diddy. Get that nose. And it's a safe place for me to do that without feeling judged, without feeling like, oh, maybe if I tell her, she gonna tell her husband, or she gonna tell her boyfriend, or she gonna tell this friend, or she gonna tell that friend, or she gonna tell her sister. I don't know what it is that got y'all feeling like you have to tell your spouse or your partner the stuff that your friends have told you, but that is nuts. Y'all need to stop doing that. That is a betrayal of friendship. If I wanted your husband to know something, I would have told him. I didn't confide in that man. I didn't confide in that N word because I didn't want him to know, because I don't trust him. My trust is in you, not him. My business is not your husband's business. My business is not your sister's business. My business is not your best friend who you ain't seen in a while that you catching up with. She live in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and she called you on Wednesday, and just a chit chat. Now you telling her my business, spilling my tea. My business is mine. And if I love and value you enough to confide in you as my friend, I don't expect to hear it anywhere else. I don't care if your husband ain't gonna tell nobody. I don't care if your sister ain't gonna tell nobody. You should not have told anybody because I told you in confidence. And that's what I expect from friends. I expect to be able to tell my friends something. I'm putting on a little more because it's pretty, but it's a little sheer, you know? And I don't want it to be loud, but it's gonna have to be more than a little hint, a little sprinkle. I want to see it, you know, blush. I want to be blushing. And another thing, competition. Let me tell you something. I did not sign up for this friendship to be competing with you. Okay? I'm not going to be competing with my friends, and I don't want my friends to be in any type of silent or loud competition with me. Your friends should not be competing with you. Your friends should be able to cheer for you and celebrate you when you're winning, be there for you when you're losing, but definitely not competing with you. Because at the end of the day, you only compete with somebody who you want to beat, right? And you shouldn't be wanting to beat your friends. You shouldn't be wanting your friends to lose. Because in a competition, there is a winner and there is a loser. How you love me and you want me to lose something? And what is it that I'm supposed to lose? You know what I'm gonna lose? This little fake ass friendship. This little fake friendship. I'm gonna lose this because this isn't serving me. And honestly, it's not serving you either. So let's cut this off. Let's go and cut this short, okay? Because this does not a friendship make. I don't understand women who get into friendships just to compete with one another. What do you think about this? This is kind of cute. It's a little subtle. It's subtle to me. It's subtle in person when I'm looking at myself, you know, in the mirror, but it don't seem as subtle on camera. Trust the process. Anyway, but yeah, I don't do the competing with friends thing. That's bonkers. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not really a competitive kind of girl as it relates to anything outside of sports or a game. Now, when it's game time, a good spades game, a good Uno game, a good dominoes game. She play dominoes, baby. She from the country. We play dominoes. We play bones. What you know about bones? Like on that table. Bam. Anyway, but that's when I'm competitive because that's when you're supposed to be competitive. You don't compete with people that you're in a relationship with, friend or romantic partner. That's weird. And I'm not on that weird stuff. Hey, Phoenix. Yeah. How was practice? Good. My son just came home from football practice. What, baby? Do you know what teacher passed the fifth grade? Miss Reed. Miss Reed? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mom was recording a video. They found out what teachers they have for this coming up academic year, and so he was very excited to know. And earlier I talked a little bit about, you know, having similarities. This Juvia's Place. I'm gonna have to mix this because this is a little bright and that's a little dull. I need something kind of in the middle, right? Okay, let's see. Do, 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 do. Ooh, ooh, that's brighter than I thought. Do, 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 do. But I like it. That's cute. Okay, 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 okay. Orange coral peach blush. Dark skinned orange coral pink blush. Look at that. Look at that. I'm a model. No, we're not promoting that. But anyway, a little bit right here. Keep the girl safe. Keep it cute. Anyway, so yes, we do need to have things in common, but there also has to be room for growth, right? There are things that I valued when I was in my 20s that I don't value anymore, right? And as my friend, you should be able to grow with me and not necessarily agree with me, but grow with me or give me, better yet, give me permission to grow. These folks don't care nothing about my life. They in there feeding dogs and running around. I ain't put on nothing like bronzer. Okay, let's see. Doot 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 doot. So what I mean when I say room to grow in friendships, what I'm saying is not expecting people to be the same person they've always been. I am not the same person I was in my 20s. If I'm gonna be honest, I'm not even the same person I was in my early 30s. And if we're going to be friends, that's something that, you have to understand. You have to give your friends room to grow and change and not expect them to always be the same version of themselves that you met umpteen years ago. Because they're humans and humans grow, we evolve, we change, we become better versions of ourselves. Sometimes we become worse versions of ourselves, but that's a bird of another feather. But anyway, you have to give your friends room to grow without assuming that they're being fake, without assuming that they're acting funny. Sometimes they're just growing. They're just becoming a better version of themselves. And sometimes not even a better version, a different version of themselves. And we have to make allowances for that, right? And when I was saying earlier about, having the same, morals and wanting the same things and having things in common, that even that, a degree of that has to have a little bit of flexibility to it. Okay, let's blend this blush out just a little bit still because we showing up very, very stark. Do, 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 do. And another thing, let me be clear about something while I put on my little bronzer. A healthy relationship is not one that you're never going to be disappointed in. People will disappoint you. People will be people, and that's okay. We're not cutting people off because they're not perfect. We are ending relationships or shifting relationships, right? Because everybody don't need to be cut off. Some people just need to be put in a different category. Some people aren't friends, they're acquaintances. Some people aren't acquaintances, they're associates. Some people are none of the above, they are just people we know. A healthy friendship isn't something that, you're never going to be disappointed in the person because that's unrealistic. A healthy friendship is one that when you are disappointed, that both people are committed to repairing the relationship when there is disappointment. It's not one that, something happens and you always the one apologizing or you're always the one, calling and trying to make things right or smooth things over. That's not a friendship. That's a one-sided relationship. It's one-sided something, but that's not something that I would say was a healthy friendship. Wait a minute, that's a little bit too much bronzer right there. Let's let's smooth that thing on it. Put a little color back in there. That's a little too much color. Let's get some of that color off. Do do do. Do 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 do. Okay. See how easy that was? And then we're gonna take our foundation brush and I don't like, you can see the starch difference between concealer and bronzer. Now it's going to be a difference, but I don't like it drastic like that. And I'm gonna take this foundation brush. I'm not gonna put no more foundation on. It still got a little bit on there. And I'm just gonna do 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 kind of just buff it out a little bit. See? Right? See how now it's not as stark, it's still it's still brighter right there, it's still highlighted right there, but it's not, come on in, it's not so obvious. Yes. What will I do for dinner? I'm not sure yet. Let mama finish her video and then I'll come out and we can talk about it, okay? Okay. If you can't get anything, can we have pizza rolls? If that's what you want, that's fine with me. Yeah, I want pizza rolls. Okay. We can do pizza rolls. Okay. Pizza rolls for dinner. And stop sweeping stuff under the rug. A lot of times with relationships, y'all sweep stuff under the rug. Oof. Okay. Now it's time to get rid of some of this shine we was talking about. Okay. Stop sweeping stuff under the rug. Stuff that's bothering you in relationships. You just kind of silently deal with because you don't want to have the confrontation. Right? And I said earlier that I think that, ghosting people is cowardly But sometimes, you know, I'm a human and I'm allowed to change my perspective, even in the moment. You know, if you are not someone who can have open, this hair is everywhere, open confrontation, then maybe you do need to just fall back a little bit, right? Maybe you do need to choose yourself in a way that doesn't require you to abandon who you are as a person personally and engage in something that you're not comfortable with. But choosing yourself doesn't mean tolerating BS or tolerating mistreatment from others. Okay. Are we still really shiny? A little bit shiny. Okay. Okay. See? Look, see? Didn't I tell you to trust the process? It's a little shine right here. Don't be afraid of the powder, baby. Sometimes the powder is necessary to get some of that shine off. Now, I'm a dewy girl myself because I'm oily naturally. So I don't really like to be completely matte, but shiny is crazy. Okay, there's that. I feel like I just don't have no more blush on. Maybe we need a little more blush. Do we need a little more blush? I feel like we need just a little more blush. This is pink. I need coral orange. But a friendship, a relationship, period, should not require you to abandon yourself in any way. And if you feel like you are putting in more effort and that your friends are not showing up for you, then it might be time to reevaluate the relationship and see if the relationship is what it actually is calling itself, right? We're calling it friend, but is it friend or is it flow? Or is it acquaintance or associate or none of the above? Okay, that's a little bit better because the blush had kind of disappeared on us. Okay, there we go. That's a little bit better. And when we talk about reciprocity, reciprocity isn't 50-50, right? Because sometimes your friend don't have 50% to give. Sometimes you don't have 50% to give. Reciprocity is about giving what you have in the moment. And when you have more, you give more. When you have less, you give less. And understanding the difference with your friend, right? But sometimes you don't have the capacity to show up. And sometimes your friend might not have the capacity to show up. But if they ain't never got the capacity to show up, if they are never there, that's not a friend, baby. That is not a friend. Let me tell you something. If you don't know whether or not you in a one-sided friendship and there's no reciprocity, let me tell you, you always the one calling. You're always the one reaching out. You're always the one making plans. You're always the one checking in, right? They only know things about you because you tell them. However, you know things about them because you asked. Hello, somebody. Hello, somebody. Intentionality, effort, different, right? If you know about me because I had to come and tell you, initiate conversation, and I know things about you because I care to ask, that's very different, right? Especially if that is consistent. If I am consistently asking about you, I am consistently making an effort and showing up for you, and you don't know nothing about me and you don't care to know nothing about me, or even worse, you know when you tell somebody something, and not a regular forgetful person, because there's girls out there that just be forgetting things, but you tell them something and they don't even remember, or you tell them something and they act like you ain't never told them nothing, because when you told them the first time, I'm gonna hold your hand when I say this, they didn't care. They didn't care. They didn't care enough to remember or to recall because it wasn't important. Now, when something important is going on with them, they blowing you up. They blowing you up. But when it comes to you, they Casper. They Casper the unfriendly ghost. Hold on. Wait. Oh, this is a new one. Wait a minute. Oh yeah, this is a new one. Hold on. Isn't it coming out? Ain't nothing coming out of here. Hold on. Wait a minute. Let me switch the top. Let me just hold on. Let me just get the whole one out because it's still a little left in here, and I ain't got time to be playing with that. Anyway, there we go. Okay, let me spray this face. Set this face. And let me be honest about it, right? Sometimes the friendship is over not because anybody did anything wrong. Sometimes you've just outgrown each other. You've changed in ways and you've allowed each other to grow in ways that you've kind of grown apart. You can genuinely love someone and find yourself on opposite ends of life with nothing in common, no connection, because you've grown apart, because you're different. And that's okay, right? That doesn't mean that the person isn't a good friend. That doesn't mean that you're not a good friend. All it means is we've outgrown one another. And that's okay. There's no villain in that story. It's just, I'm here, you're there, we're just not together. And in those cases, when I see you, it's love. It's hugs. It's I miss you. How are you? How the kids? How your mama now? I miss you. I love you, friend. Right? Even if it's not friend anymore, there's always love for those people because there was no betrayal. Just growth. Growth in different directions. Hold on. Oof. 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 One more. Oof. I lied. It's one more. Okay? Get you some blue marble. Makeup ain't going nowhere. Makeup ain't going nowhere. You hear me? I can have this makeup on 12 hours. It's not going nowhere. It's not getting on my clothes. Not gonna get on your clothes. Nothing. These people don't know me. It's not sponsored. I just like the product because it works. Hold on. Because one thing about it, we did not do all this work on this makeup on this face to not set it and fix it in for it not to move. We try not to make it budge, okay? We want this makeup to last. Make it last forever and ever. Now that I love it. Okay. Let's just be honest about it. If you want healthy friendships, sis, let me get in real close. You have to be a good friend. Hey, don't shoot the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger. Because the truth is, some of y'all don't have friends because you're not a good friend. Now I gotta put on some lashes and some liner and all those things. Okay, I had to do these lashes off camera. Now before we go, I want you to ask yourself, are you a good friend? Right? Now while we all deserve good friends, we have to also make sure, no wait a minute, trying to be cute, tangled. But what, still cute though, hold on. Hey. Anyway, we have gotten to a place in our lives, baby, where we are too old to not have good friends. And we are too old not to be good friends. Now, before we go, I want you to ask yourself this. Are you a good friend? Are you consistent? Are you competitive? Do you show up? Do you apologize? And very importantly, do you initiate? Or are your friends always calling and texting you? Also, it's giving Farrah Fawcett. Cute, right? Anyway, I'm Dr. Didi Wednesday, and this is a community full of women who are growing and glowing together. And I would absolutely love for you to join this community with us, sis. If you're new here and you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you like this video, you've been here all this time, go ahead and like the video. And tell me in the comment section, have you ever had a friendship breakup? And if you did, how did it go? Were you sad and heartbroken like me? Because let me tell you, I was sick as a dog. Hear me? Sick as a dog. Heartbreak is one thing, but a friendship heartbreak, that friendship breakup, that's another thing. And like I said earlier, I wouldn't wish that on my enemy. And lucky for us, we're not enemies. We're sisters. Thank you for joining me and helping me do my makeup today. And as always, sis, I love you. And I hope you have an amazingly blessed day. Bye.